And why would Donald Trump quit? He just said, "Look at this. I'm winning everywhere I go, even in South Carolina, where Nikki Haley's from. I don't care. Indict me 5 million times. I don't care. Okay. I'm not going anywhere."
We're going to have Dave Dooley on in a second. We're going to have Dave, but I'll just say this: I am 100% Donald Trump that is going to be in November running for president
from prison.
100% he's going to be running from wherever he is at that point in time. I'm about 70% that Joe Biden is going to be there.
I'm 100 and 100 right now. Let's bring in Dave Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science Professor at Oakland University. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here. Did you learn anything yesterday?
Just that all the predictions that we've talked about, that both of these candidates were going to have runaway victories, that all those predictions were right. I do think it's worth talking about that uncommitted vote at least a little bit. The reactions that I'm seeing, mainly from national observers, national analysts, who are sort of dropping into Michigan, for a moment and then leaving, are in two camps. The first one is, 13%, no big deal, doesn't mean anything. Status quo for Biden, and others are saying, oh my gosh, this is the end for Biden, and neither of those is accurate, right? I mean, uncommitted got 100,000 votes across the state yesterday, mainly concentrated here in Southeast Michigan, and that's nothing to dismiss. That's a large number of people coming out to make a protest vote against the president, and it strikes at a problem that he has not only here in Michigan but across the country. I think when you start to combine the folks that voted uncommitted with young voters, with union workers, right? You can see the numbers start to add up where Michigan's a problem for the Biden campaign.
I watch the primaries like I watch March Madness. I have 4 TVs on. I'm watching MSNBC, CNN, Fox. I watch it all, and they're all telling me a different story about the same numbers, which I always find interesting.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I don't know. Like, so MSNBC, they're like, look at that, nearly 30% of people will never vote for Donald Trump. He cannot win when 30% are saying today they'll never vote for Donald Trump. I'm like, I don't think they said that. I think they said they preferred Haley in the primary, and maybe they will vote for Trump, or maybe they won't in the general. I don't know. And I felt the same way about Fox describing the uncommitted that way. There's no way the uncommitted will vote for Joe Biden, and they're going to stay home or vote for Donald Trump. And that may be true, but I just don't know.
Well, in both cases, the likely scenario is folks that didn't vote for Trump or Biden yesterday are going to come home and vote for their party's candidate. But, I think you can see some reasoning for people to not do that, or maybe even skip the top of the ballot and not make a choice between Trump and Biden, but vote for other races that are up in November. But for the vast majority of Republicans and Democrats, they are going to support their party's presidential nominee.
Dave, we look at the numbers, and Joe Biden got 81% of the vote yesterday. Former President Trump got 68.2%. But when you look at the raw numbers, Joe Biden's total votes was about 618,000 for him. Donald Trump got 756,000, and that's on top of Nikki Haley's almost 300,000 votes. Does that say anything to you? There's the enthusiasm factor, but if you take those raw numbers and put them head to head, Trump versus Biden, Donald Trump comes out on top pretty significantly.
Yeah, I think that there is something to that, Tom. I think enthusiasm is the right way to talk about it. And Trump's supporters have been chomping at the bit to be able to come out and vote for him again. And they had that opportunity yesterday, and it showed, right? And I think that the fewer number of votes on the Biden side is just a bit of a lack of excitement from Democrats around the state. And the enthusiasm advantage that I think Republicans have currently, I think is another factor that should worry the Biden campaign.
What do you make of Nikki Haley? I mean, she did, relative 300,000. I mean, we're making a big deal about the 100,000 uncommitted votes for Biden. Nikki Haley got 300,000. And she's come out strong against Donald Trump in terms of her critiques and saying, listen, Donald Trump winning the nomination gives the socialist left a larger chance of winning the general election. She's not going to win the nomination. I don't think that's a possibility at this point. What happens to Nikki Haley after this? I mean, does somehow she come back into the fold within the Republican Party and becomes a strong player in this campaign or not?
Well, I think that, she is looking for the time when Donald Trump is not the nominee. And whether that's this time, I mean, I think she's hanging around, trying to keep her name at the top of the list as an alternative should something extraordinary happen and Trump not be the nominee. But certainly in 28, when it's likely to be again a full field, I think she's looking at future opportunities.
I want to look at this enthusiasm issue again for a second. I feel like Joe Biden wasn't running against anyone. He was running against Dean Phillips, and he was running against uncommitted. And I just feel like Donald Trump was running against Nikki Haley, so to me it seemed like there's more reason for Republicans to come out and vote. I'm not sure it's because there's no enthusiasm for Joe Biden, although it wouldn't surprise me. But if he were running against Robert Kennedy, would people have showed up and say, no, I'm with Biden or I'm with Kennedy, and would they have gotten the additional 300,000 votes in Michigan?
I think that's a fair question, and we'll never know, but I think that's a very legitimate speculation that that's the case. And, let's be even more clear about the turnout numbers, right? We had about 1.9 million people vote across the state yesterday. And in the days leading up to it, when we had a competitive Democratic primary in 2020, we had 1.5, 1.6 million people. So, just in that particular race, right? So much lower turnout in both races than we would expect with a truly competitive primary process. And that just sort of goes with the territory. When races are not terribly close and the outcome is all but known, fewer people vote.
Yeah. And we got another primary coming up in August, too. We had to vote for Senate and all that. So this is going to happen again. We'll have you on many times prior to that the next second primary in the state. So much appreciate your time. Dave Dooley, our director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science professor at Oakland University. More to come, 760 WJR.